Well, look, Rob, speaking of tonight's game, there was a report from Ed Werder, who worked with us over at the Old Network. Here's what he said about Deshaun Watson. A source says Deshaun Watson remains committed to forcing his exit from Houston, no matter how long that might take. The source close to Watson said, if you're paying him $10 million to sit this year, you don't think he would take $30 million to sit next year? All right, there it is. And Rob, we've talked about this. I don't even think it's freaking old school. I would not, if it's within my power, I would not be paying a player to sit on the sideline. If you're a bench warmer, if you're a second stringer, and that's your job, sit and watch the starters play, fine. But if you are an all-pro, if you are one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, and to be honest, Robin, I think you'll co-sign this, the Texans have actually looked like if they had Deshaun Watson, they might actually be pretty good.
You know
right?
what? They have not looked like people predicted them to be the worst team in the league, Chris.
Yep.
There was
Give
some
David
people,
Culley some credit. He got them boys playing.
They're playing.
They're losing,
they didn't throw in the towel. They're 1-1.
Yep.
Right?
They are playing. They beat Jacksonville.
Don't forget,
and
they were underdogs
horrible,
against.
But so were the Texans. So they
were underdogs
handily
in that game, Chris. They were underdogs, if you remember.
And they smashed them, Rob. It wasn't close. They didn't edge them. They smashed them. And then they played Cleveland relatively tough. It was 14-all at halftime until Tyrod Taylor
didn't get hurt, Chris.
Yes. Might have been a different game. So if Deshaun is in there, then, who knows what could happen with them? Because last year was an aberration for them, Rob, to go 4-12. I get it. I get being upset they traded DeAndre Hopkins, Jadeveon Clowney's gone. Like, I get it. But the bottom line is this. If I were the Texans, Rob, I would be either playing Deshaun Watson right now, and if I went to him and was like, look, you're our best quarterback, we going with you, and he didn't want to play, he was like, no, I'm not playing for you until you trade, or I'm not playing for you, so trade me.
Right.
Then I would talk to the NFL and be like, look, he's here in person. Right. He's not here in spirit. He's not willing to play. I'm not paying him. Now, you can sit out all you want, but I'm not paying you. And, Rob, look, we don't know. Is he eventually going to be put on the commissioner's exempt list? Who knows? Bottom line is we're 3 weeks into the season, and he hasn't been put on the list. He's just sitting out and getting paid for it. On an individual level, good for him. But, nah, man, I'm not with that, Rob. I don't get it. I don't get what they're doing.
I don't think it's old school. I just think it's basic.
Right.
Like, you get paid to work, right? And to not work. We could sit here and your take is logical, and when we talk about it over and over, it's all logical. But there's something that we possibly can't know, because why would you take this route? There's nothing that's come down from the league yet, not even a report or a leak, Chris, or a hint. Something's coming down on October 1st. If there was something like that, then I'd be like, okay, the other shoe's going to drop October 1st. That's why they don't want to get him acclimated, worked up with the team, because he's not going to be there, right? Would that make sense? But we haven't heard a hint of that from anybody or any reporting or anything. So on face value, it makes absolutely no sense. I got to believe there's got to be something, because why not either put him out there or force him to deny that he wants to play?
Right.
And then this way we can suspend, and he can be suspended from the team without pay for insubordination. And that would be doable, Chris, a part of the collective bargaining agreement. If you refuse to play, they don't have to pay you.
Absolutely. I totally agree, Rob. I totally agree. Yeah, I darn right. I bet he's willing to sit for $30 million next year. That's taking hits off his body. Because if he gets to come back, Rob, this year off physically, I think will do him good. And if it's more than this year, that's going to do him more good. So, yeah, and he can collect that money. But I'm with you. It doesn't make any sense. And what the reports are is that, the Texans want a mammoth haul for Deshaun Watson, which I get. I mean, tons of first-round picks and more. But teams are hesitant to give up that because what if you trade for Deshaun and 2 weeks later he's on the commissioner's exempt list? Now you don't have him at your quarterback, and you might not have him for the future, and you lost all those draft picks. The saving grace for any team that trades for Deshaun is that if he ends up in legal trouble and can't play football anymore, goes to jail, whatever it is, then that contract becomes void. So that's the saving grace. However, you don't get those draft picks back, right?
Right.
That you traded for. So that's why teams are hesitant.
A deal is done. A deal is done, right.
So what are the Texans doing? Like, nobody really is willing to trade for him yet at your asking price, and you're just letting him sit around and collect your $10 million. I'm sorry. It's bad business. And so they're actually kind of, in my view, justifying what Deshaun has said, that they're a poorly run organization, because this doesn't make sense to me, Rob. And I don't care if it would upset Deshaun or upset other. I mean, you've upset us by saying you don't want to play for us.
Right.
So
no, I agree. I wouldn't care about his feelings at this point.
Right.
Because he upset the whole apple cart, the franchise, Chris. They signed him after they traded DeAndre Hopkins. You know what I mean? Like,
he knew, right? He knew Hopkins was gone then. Yep.
He knew. He could have said, I don't want to be here. You just traded away my best weapon. And he could have said, I want to play somewhere else. I'm going to exercise my free agent. We could have. That's all.
It's
the same people who made that trade, Chris, signed him a year later. Or that same year.
It's got some similarities, Rob, to the Ben Simmons situation. Now, thankfully, Simmons isn't in the type of legal trouble or potential trouble that Watson is in. But as far as having a long-term deal, signing it being lucrative, and then you decide you want out with all these years left on your deal. So that's where we are with Deshaun Watson. He will not be out there tonight. This game would be a lot different if he were, but still, it's interesting because Carolina could go to 3-0 for the first time since 2015 when they actually reached the Super Bowl.